Hey everyone, back again with another customer project. This is a Dana 30 high pinion front axle out of a Jeep Cherokee. Customer got this thing out of a wrecking yard to put in his Jeep because I guess the diff and the pinion and stuff like that's pretty tore up in his truck. It's obviously very rusty. This is common in Syracuse, New York. The reason why he brought it here is so that I can reinforce these lower mounts, lower control arm mounts. So this one's a little bit bent. I'll be straightening that out, and I'm going to plate the outside of the mounts with 3/16 plate. So I'll be cutting a cardboard template to match this, drilling, punching the hole in the cardboard and using that as a template to make a new plate to go over this side and that side. Obviously I'll be cleaning the metal up. This mount, you can see, is quite a bit damaged. It's bent pretty badly. So what I'll be doing with this side is either completely rebuilding the mount or I'll be trying to straighten it out. We'll see how easy it is for me to straighten out and how closely I can get it. I'll obviously be reinforcing it with the 3/16 plate just like the other side. But if it turns out to be a big pain in the butt to straighten that out, I'm just going to cut it off and rebuild it. So, yeah, that's what we got going on. I'll probably, this is not a high dollar job for me. It's something I'm giving a pretty decent price on just for, for the sake of it's a friend for a local club called CNY Jeep. So I might, just to help him out, I might do some cleanup on the outside of this housing and maybe throw a fresh coat of paint on it. I'm not sure. We'll see how it goes. If the mounts aren't too big of a pain in the butt, then I might go ahead and do that just to be nice. So anyway, I'll talk to you guys in a second. Okay, everyone. Got this mount fairly straight. Got to work this little lump out of here a little bit better. This side's straightened out, and this side was actually bent too, and I've got it straightened out as well. Did a little bit of cleaning on the axle housing for the customer. I just did that just because. I'll probably clean up the spindle, or the knuckle, excuse me. Clean that up a little bit for him. I'm not going to be able to clean this thing spotless. I would if I had a sandblaster. I'd do it just because. Customer has helped me out with some word of mouth advertisement, and plus I just like doing a good job for people. I like giving them product back that makes them say wow, and makes them real happy that they brought me their work. So I may do a little bit more cleaning up on this, but I'm just about ready to cut out my templates for the panels that the 3/16 plate that I'm gonna plate the sides of these brackets in with on both of them. And I'll just tack them all into place. I'm gonna end up welding it into the axle tube, across here, up and around. I've got to make sure the holes are drilled out properly and everything. But so far so good. I was worried that these mounts were going to be real difficult to bend, and to be honest, that stuff bends so easy, so easy. It's almost embarrassing how easy that bends. Part of it's due to a little bit of the corrosion on there, but that metal's not much thinner than it was from the factory, and that stuff is bending no problem, absolutely no problem. So if any of you guys have a Jeep Cherokee and you got the stock Dana 30 up front, the stock suspension up front, just know that these mounting brackets, they're shit. They're absolutely shit. That stuff's going to bend on you in a heartbeat if you go out and do any kind of serious four-wheeling. That's going to bend. So you'll want to address that. I thought that was going to be much harder to bend, and I was completely wrong. So I'll talk to you guys in a second once I get a little bit more progress. Okay, back again. what we're doing here, as I throw all these things on the floor, this is a template that I did. I added just some cardstock. You see here? I made sure that it didn't go all the way to the edge because I need to be able to weld a bead around it. Okay? Made sure it wrapped around this. This axle tube is 2.5 inches. Made sure it sat just underneath that curved edge. Made sure I had about 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch, ballpark all the way around it so that I could weld. I made those, and the one thing that you have to pay attention to, just because you make one on one side doesn't mean it's going to fit for all of them. Luckily, this one on the outside works for the outside of this one. However, because these are cocked at an angle, they won't work for the inner ones. You see how it goes all the way to the edge on this one? So I had to make one for this. When I made one for this, I tested it on this, and it was still not the same. It hung over a little bit. So this had to be one separate template, and then the outside ones had a matching template. Took this, basically traced around it on some 3/16 plate over here. Used my Everlast PowerPlasma 50 to cut it, and cut 4 pieces out, and this is what we got. Hold on. Pick this up. I have one outer one, driver side inner, passenger side inner, and an outer one. So now what I'm going to do here is just do a rough test fit. This one's got the best lighting, so we'll put it here. And it's perfect. It's exactly what I needed. Okay, it's right underneath that lip. Goes around the axle tube just fine. Has enough lip over here for me to weld on it, and has enough lip over here on the bottom for me to weld on it. I'll be able to put a weld all the way around this, no problem. So now what I need to do is I need to hold this in position, and I need to mark this hole. Okay, I'm going to have to do that with all 4 pieces. I might have to go to the store and get me a step drill bit because I don't have one, and the largest drill bit I have here in the shop is 1/2 inch, which would be fine because the bolt that runs through these holes is 1/2 inch. However, I would like to drill the holes out to match those exactly, and these are actually a little bit more than that. I believe they're 5/8 of an inch. I'm not sure to be 100% exact, but they're bigger than 1/2 inch. It ends out being 0.6. So when I use my caliper, and I don't have anything that'll do that, and I could kind of rough it out, you know, ream it out with the hand drill bit and a 1/2 inch drill. I might do that. It doesn't need to be precise. It just needs to make sure that that bolt can go through, and not any bigger than this, and I'd prefer for it to not be any smaller than that. So we'll see how I end up dealing with that. For now, I'm just going to mark all these plates, take them over to my drill press back here, and start drilling them all out and getting them all ready to go. I'm not going to finish this job up tonight. It's almost 3:30 in the morning, so I'll probably wait until the morning, or a little bit later in the morning, to weld everything on, but I do want to drill everything and get it all ready. So, talk to you guys in a second. Back again. This project is a wrap. Okay, got the mounts on there, welded, reinforced. If you look down in that bolt hole, you can see the 2 layers. Okay. First and foremost, you'll see that I ground down the welds. This is welded all the way around the perimeter here, inside, or here, and then as well as on the inside. I ground down the edges because it was looking a little bit sloppy. You know, this is kind of the reality of working on really rusty crap like this. You know, the cleaner the metal is, the better your machine's going to weld. And when you're dealing with rust like this and nooks and crannies that you can't really get into very well, it's inevitable that you're going to be trying to weld over the top of that rust and grease and stuff like that. It's just going to get into your weld at some point. Okay, and that's basically what happened here. The weld is good. It penetrated well. my goal of reinforcing the brackets is met. This is very, very strong. Everything's lined up straight. There's no warpage or anything that's gonna cause any issues for the customer. It's gonna meet everything that they wanted it to do. But for cosmetic purposes, I don't want this to look like complete crap when the customer gets it. I decided to grind down these welds a little bit and clean them up. I didn't do it to all of them, just around this bracket area. Mainly I did it here, it wasn't just cosmetic reasons. When you're working on cars, you don't want to get your hands busted on some sharp, gnarly edges or anything like that. So that's kind of why I did it mainly, but it's also cosmetic reasons. One thing that I want to point out, if you're ever welding brackets and stuff onto housings, when you start welding, you'll see I put a bead on the inside here. That's because when I started welding on the outside, the heat's going to naturally try to bend this out this way. So if you immediately go from the outside to the inside and run this bead, it'll suck it back into its normal position. So that's why I put the bead on the inside. Plus it's just a little bit extra meat to help reinforce this, which again is what the customer was looking for. So the only thing that I had a major issue with was this bracket here. If you look here, the bracket runs here, then you have this cast for the diff that's maybe about a ½ inch to the deepest part of this bracket, and it runs all the way down here. Okay, the problem is when I put a piece of 3/16 plate in here, that gap here to weld on is very minimal at best. I'm not going to be able to do it properly. So what I decided to do was stack a bunch of welds in this valley before this plate was in here, build that up to try to bring it up to the level of this cast housing, and then put the plate on and then weld the weld beads to the plate. So this is all a lot of welds, and that's why it's not as pretty as it could be, but it works and it accomplishes the job. So that's pretty much it. I enjoyed the project. It was the first time that I've done any work on an axle housing, so I'm happy with that. It gave me a little bit of experience dealing with that, and I'm getting ready to do a couple, actually probably about 4 axle housings for my projects that I've got going on, the Pathfinders. I need to find a Dana 44 for my 91. I need to find 2 Dana 60s for the rock buggy that I'm going to build out of the leftover parts of this. And it gave me a little bit more confidence buying used axles out here. When the customer brought this in, this was really rusty. It looked pretty bad. Taking the 4.5 inch angle grinder with the wire wheel attachment to it, I was able to take that rust down to a level where I realized these axles aren't as bad of a shape as they appear. If you get one from a wrecking yard, you can, your chances are you're going to shave these things down if you're building something for, rock crawling or off-road. You're going to cut all these brackets off and take it down to just the axle tubes. So in that regard, it'll make it a lot easier to clean up. Even if I had a sandblast cabinet or something like that, or just a siphon feed sander that I could take out inside of the shop, it'd have made this thing so clean. All that rust would have came right off, and I could have painted over this with maybe some chassis saver and had this thing looking like brand new again. So, I'm glad I got to do this. I didn't make a lot of money off of it, but that's okay. It's experience, and it's keeping me busy. So, thanks for watching. Subscribe, like always. Comment, like. If you're watching this on Alvarez Metalworks, please look at the links above. There's a link to my YouTube channel. There's a link to my Facebook page. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like my Facebook page. If you're watching this on YouTube, again, subscribe like always. Check out alvarezmetalworks.com. That's my website. And thanks for the support. Oh, and if you're interested in a future project that I've got on my Pathfinder, and more information about that product, Monster Liner, definitely subscribe. I'm getting ready to tear apart my 91 Pathfinder, and I'm going to paint that entire truck in Monster Liner, a three color design. So check that out. That'll be coming very, very soon, within the next week or so. So I'm just waiting for the product to arrive at my house. They shipped it out today. So thanks for watching, and talk to you guys soon.